Welcome back to our final episode of Patched for the month of July. I'm your host Paul James, and I'm again joined by Jay Parnas and Damo Camilleri.
Also hosts.
Co-hosts, I guess.
Leeches.
So this
Leeches.
month... Leeches.
I can do it.
So this month we're talking about, I guess, another E3 related announcement. Partially Spider-Man, partially what's happening with Marvel in the video game space. So our first exposure to what's going on with Marvel games...
Sorry, I'm just like...
now is you can throw me off.
Good.
What's going on with Marvel games going forward is that they're looking at...
They're making them.
They're not making them. They're not looking for movie tie-ins, as we kind of saw for a while there during the last generation. We were getting them.
They want their properties to have the Arkham treatment.
They basically want the Arkham treatment, yeah. So what DC did by... I suppose even originally Arkham Asylum was going to be a movie tie-in game, and then Rocksteady couldn't get it done in time, so Warner Brothers just said, okay, fine, just go off and create a Batman game, take as long as you need, and come back to us when you're done.
But it was tied into the animated series.
Is it?
Yes.
Was it? I thought they used some. I thought they used some of the characters.
It was like tied in from the animated series, which was tied into the Justice League Unlimited, and it's all part of the same kind of universe. It's not like tied in fully. It's not like locked in like things.
Things that happen in the Arkham universe, like the video game universe, affect the cartoon or comic or
what? No, the cartoon was from like the 90s.
Okay,
so
right.
Okay, so
threads
it's pulling
just
from
threads that Okay, so it's not. Yeah, they don't tie. Yeah, okay,
right.
Cool.
I thought when you meant a tie-in, as in like they were actually tethered properly.
Oh no.
So these Marvel games, as anyone will see if they've seen the Spider-Man trailer so far,
Which looked pretty good.
Which looked really good. The Spider-Man that we see there doesn't have a suit that matches with any of the movies that have come out. It is meant to be a Spider-Man that is totally standalone to anything else. It is just a video game. It is not tied into a movie, anything like that. And Marvel's basically made it quite clear that they want to do the same with their other franchises. That they want to find meaningful, like, developers who understand the franchise, who have a good track record, that they're not just finding some studio like
Insomniac,
Beanox, for example, to just churn out a game in 6 months to tie in with a movie. They're looking for Insomniac or someone like that who
knows games.
Who knows games, who feel like has a pretty good understanding of the franchise, whose perhaps development history can allow them to make a game. You're itching to go. And then kind of tell a story from that. Now, one thing that was actually announced, I think last year, maybe even the year before, Telltale's doing a Marvel-based game that's meant to be out next year.
I'll buy that.
So, like, there has been this going, but this is your first, quote-unquote, real sort of more traditional game that we're going to see from this from this sort of deal. What do we think?
Well, they're not all going to be Sony exclusive.
Oh no, they won't all be Sony exclusives. You can hope.
I'm pretty sure this was just because of getting Spider-Man into the Avengers, wasn't it?
Again, it's got nothing to do with those movies in any way.
Terms of being
Sony's own.
In terms of being a deal, like for Marvel to get those rights back, those film rights, I'm pretty sure there might have been a bit of a deal done to get an exclusive.
Maybe. I mean, Sony's had the rights to, like, the film rights to Spider-Man since before the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies.
Yes.
And my impression was that even following what's gone on with Avengers or whatever, Captain America,
because there wasn't an agreement
that he was still, like, that Spider-Man was still owned by
Sony. And I think
but there was an agreement. Do you think they connect to the game?
I think there was an agreement to allow an exclusive Spider-Man game to be made for a Sony platform. I think that's how they got that. That's how they swung that, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
Whether
be because
that's
Marvel
real or
just
not.
leveraged the fact that they have a pretty good line of communication with Sony for the Spider-Man side of things, to then, we've got a studio. Maybe it just worked out that Insomniac was the studio that they wanted to work with.
After Sunset Overdrive, that movement could very easily be put into maybe not the rail grinding, but a lot of the bouncing and movement.
Yeah, well, apparently the game's running on the same engine that powered Ratchet and Clank.
Okay.
But it's also the same engine that powered Sunset and Resistance, and like they just incrementally upgrade.
Obviously.
Their engines rather than build a separate one. So.
And it's
how games work.
It looks good.
Yeah. So, I mean, the game's looking fantastic on that front. Before we kind of start getting into hypotheticals and what's going to be next and all that sort of stuff. What do we actually think about this whole thing about the game being exclusive to the PlayStation platform? Like, you're going to have a lot of diehard Spider-Man fans, fans of the comics rather than necessarily the movies.
Huge amount of them.
Yeah, exactly. But those who also might be diehard Xbox people, or maybe they're just only casual gamers and they've got an Xbox platform.
Allow you guys to get into that before I have my...
They're going to arc up over the fact that they have to go and buy a PS4 now just to play Spider-Man. And it's not like if we're used to exclusive games on platforms, but they were first and foremost games. So like you can look at Gears, for example, or Halo for Xbox. You can look at Mario and Zelda for Nintendo platforms. Nathan Drake, Kratos, all like PlayStation iconic, but they're all gangsters. Whereas now,
for Michael,
no, that was a promotional campaign for PlayStation a few years back. But
you missed Crash Bandicoot.
We're not used to this. I believe the first time that we're getting an exclusive, non-game centric character coming to games who's then exclusive to a platform. Is that going to aggravate?
You have to word that really hard.
I bet that's been done before. Maybe not in the last 10 years, but I bet it's been done. I bet there was like a Super Nintendo game.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, no one wanted to put a game on a Sega system anyway.
Oh, I don't know about that. It's a bit rough.
I'm taking the piss a little bit there.
Look,
certainly not in this modern era anyway.
I would say that they probably, and this relates to what I was saying before, they probably got a really fucking good reason for doing it. Because I don't think it's a money thing, because they wouldn't shoot themselves in the foot. Because putting it on the Xbox is just extra money.
Yeah.
Like Insomniac have proven that they can develop for primarily an Xbox One.
And Sony wouldn't be able to just okay, we're going to pay millions and millions to not put it on this platform. Like Marvel's going to get probably the same amount of money, if not more, from actually putting it out on the Xbox platform than to take Sony's. You take millions to not put it on that platform.
They would probably make more money putting it on everything. But because it
doesn't seem like it's a rise of the
and you're also factoring out the NX as well, because none of us know what that is, but again, if it's exclusive to the PS4, that also counts out that whole market also.
Yeah, all of Nintendo's market,
plus any tie-in handheld that's not a Vita, and we know the Vita's legacy, so that's not going to happen either. Wait for it.
Go on, Damo, you've got opinions.
So, being a huge comic book...
This is before we jump into other franchises.
Yeah, no. This is all fine and this is all good and worthy. Like, your question, is it going to piss people off? Yes. You don't understand Marvel fans, and I mean no disrespect to the few of you who are decent, kind, compassionate people, but the other fuckwits out there...
The majority who are good.
You have no idea. Comic book fans themselves are pricks, and you're gonna piss them off way too much just by fucking. If they're on an Xbox and like, well, what the fuck you, Marvel, fuck bullshit, and they'll call for everything. They'll slam the internet. They'll go fucking berserk. And there'll be even guys who are fans of fucking Spider-Man who go, oh, fucking look at his costume. It's never been in there before.
So why do you feel like that's not happened yet? Because that backlash that you're talking about hasn't happened. Like there's a couple little.
There's a huge amount of things going on in the comic book world right now.
I've heard from PlayStation people who are going, it's a bit odd.
Because there's a huge...
but they're obviously not kicking...
I mean, there's just a lot going on in the nerdy world right now. Like, in comic books, let alone. Like, DC have just started their rebirth season, so, like, there's a huge amount of, sales going on there. Like, Marvel fans have just come out of Secret Wars a couple of months back, and that's a huge event for them with their, like... not universe reset, but a beginning of a new, if you were getting into comics, that's when you were getting into it.
Okay.
That's 8 months ago or something like that.
Apparently.
In the beginning of something like that, you've got a lot of back reading to do. There's a lot of new stuff to read, and so probably the majority of them just don't have the time to sit there and go, what the fuck? Yeah. When it's closer and they're like...
So when we're starting to see more from it.
Well, yeah, because... in the past,
It's
there's
probably
shit that's
not.
been called exclusive and has come out on other things. So they might be biting their tongues right now before they fucking like blow it up in their faces and go, yeah, actually,
Yeah,
arseholes.
that sounds like people who use the internet biting their tongue before
Yeah.
you.
Oh man,
I
I'd be
don't know-
surprised.
I
I
don't
mean,
know that it's that big, but I also don't think this is not one of those scenarios.
well,
I think
definitely
basically
not.
if people just look at the track record of PlayStation this generation, if they said it's exclusive to our platform, maybe or PS4/PC, it's remained that way.
Yeah.
Whereas Xbox
Well,
have drifted.
They hinted
For the
towards
most part.
Destiny stuff being.
No, they just marketed that way, and the sales were massive for PlayStation and far lesser for Xbox. That's PR speak.
I also think that there probably are people out there who suspect that there might have been something to do with Sony regarding the film franchise, because again, Spider-Man has been locked away under the Sony
20 years.
for a long time, and
Approaching that anyway.
and this is the first time that Spider-Man has been in film that has not been done by a Sony studio. So
Yeah.
surely, like, anyone who knows anything, and usually people that are into comic books, they know their shit, especially when it comes to a franchise that they're super into, because they do a retarded amount of research.
Yes, we do.
I would say that, look, they're probably suspecting something along those lines. So it might be that they just figure, well, that's what it is, because that's how they got the character I like into this other thing. Now, I've not seen the Avengers, so I don't even know how much Spider-Man's actually in that movie.
It was Captain America, wasn't it? Just to make
Yeah.
sure.
Was
Make
it-
sure.
was it
Civil-
Captain America?
Civil
Captain
War.
America.
Oh, Civil War.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean,
No, that's right. I
Is-
wasn't sure either.
I don't know. At that point, like, is Civil War actually classed as a Captain America thing, or is it just a big
Yeah.
Marvel
Yeah, it's Captain
thing?
America.
Yes, they even though they said like this is pretty much a Marvel
it's
Avengers
just-
film. It's We're
said-
not gonna go into all that.
Yeah. Anyway, my point is, like,
Just
I don't know how much Spider-Man is in that film, but to even get him in the film at all, they had to have done a deal with Sony to some extent. Whether that involved having rights to an exclusive game and them saying, "Hey, look, we've got this studio teed up. Just give us the rights to this exclusive game, and we'll let you put your character in this movie." Who knows? Whether it was as
Yeah.
simple as that, who knows? But it's plausible. At the very least, it's plausible. And I think that comic book fans would probably buy that in terms of
Do you-
understand that that's probably a thing that was big business. That's what it is.
Do we think that? So your diehard Spider-Man fan who has an Xbox, do you think that, and just because you know that kind of community better than certainly I do you think that they'll end up buying an Xbox, a PlayStation, so that they can play that game?
I mean, depends.
Like,
If
do you
they've
think
been,
they'll just knuckle
if they've
under?
been a diehard fan of the Spider-Man games of the past,
They're
or even
probably-
just the Marvel games of the past, and they see this and they've just like, yep, that's it. You're sold. Like, if you like a franchise, if you like how something works, and it's coming out to something,
You don't have.
and you don't have have access to it. I mean, in today's society, I know, like, with it's not exactly super cheap to go out and buy a console and things like that, but sometimes you can pick them up secondhand and things like that cheap. Like,
So you think
people go out and
okay, fine, I'll that's probably what Sony's counting on that.
but it may not be a console seller, but I mean, it might
It won't be a
sway-
system shifter, not a chance.
Oh.
It might sway some people that were like either waiting on something or
Yeah.
then to go,
Yeah,
or someone who owns an
Someone
Xbox
who's
is like,
maybe going
I
to get a
was going to get a PlayStation in time and see that. They're like, I'll get the exclusive
so-
Spider-Man PS4 that's going to come out.
So it will sell.
that, Sony,
It will sell
please.
some systems. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of
How many?
maybe when and how many.
Yeah.
And I think it'll still. There'll be a minimum of 1 million
And-
be sold just off the back of that game.
And with that, like what you mentioned, like people who have liked the past games, I mean, Spider-Man 2 for...
That's the PS2. That's the
That was
PS2
PS
generation one, isn't it?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
I've heard
that was a,
only good things.
that was
about
and that was
It's
a,
one of the best games I've ever played.
and that was a movie tie-in.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was
So-
like, it was such a weird game. Like, it was like a Grand Theft Auto with web swinging. It was awesome.
And it was some of the best web swing grapple hooking / whatever.
For that time, yeah.
For even still, like, think of a game that's done that well since then. What, Bionic Commando? Come on, son.
Batman, Arkham.
Yeah, but that was not swinging. That's grapple hooking. That's like zipping from point to point.
Yeah,
otherwise,
yeah, it's point
otherwise,
out.
just cause. Like, swinging is like
Yeah.
it's like Pitfall, man. Come on. Anyway, moving away from games not related to Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, like, you look at Ultimate Alliance and the fact that Ultimate Alliance 3 has been put on that could it be coming out thing. Like, that was a big game for a lot of people. Like, if this is done right, that might be enough for people to turn around and just be like, oh, I've got a Sony now. Might as well just keep playing my Sony for these Marvel games. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
do you feel like there's any chance that that Marvel might look at it? Let's assume that Spider-Man does well. Now, we're probably not going to see Spider-Man until 2018, I reckon. But
I don't know.
Let's assume it does.
That gameplay footage looked pretty.
It looked
pretty
good,
polished.
I feel like that might just be a very well done vertical slice, and there's a long way out. But
maybe
that's only my gut feel though. I've got nothing really to base.
No,
on.
fair enough.
But let's assume it does well. No, I promise I wasn't going to do that. Let's assume it does well. Do you think that there'd be any nagging feeling in the back of Marvel's mind that they might go to the well again? And Iron Man, for example, whatever they do next, that might also go exclusive?
no.
Like, if Spider-Man goes on to shift 5 million units, which is well above what most games do. Hell, the new Zelda, Nintendo says they only need to shift 2 million to be profitable on that. And that's Zelda that's been in development for so long.
Not a whole game. If it was something like Iron Man.
So they might do like exclusive DLCs.
They might do like
exclusive missions or something.
VR, the Sony VR. You put on the Jarvis's helmet and that's you're flying around with that.
But then
something like that.
But they wouldn't cut out the Oculus.
Game.
They wouldn't cut out the Oculus, and the Oculus is going to be working with Xbox.
Yeah, but
they'll
like
probably do both at that point.
Exactly.
You know, it just could be like, if anything, I don't think they'd ever like. I think this will be a one-off exclusive.
Dipping the toe in the water.
I agree.
Leveraging a partnership to get it going.
I actually think, and again, sorry to keep jumping back to this potential for a proposed deal to get Spider-Man to movies. I think without a motivator like that, they have no real reason to cut out some of their profit margin.
Yeah, okay.
They may go back to Insomniac and say, "Hey, you like in the same way that
platform developer,
and in the same way that they stuck with Rocksteady to make a couple more Arkham games, they may go back to them and say, "Hey, look, we've got this other franchise that would like you to get off the ground. You want to do this for us?" And look, they may say no, but if they're going to return to the well, so to speak, I don't think it will be console exclusivity that they would go back to. It would be the developer.
Yeah.
In the same way that Warner Brothers is absolutely happy for Rocksteady to keep smashing out Batman content, because they've proved time and again that they can do it.
Well, I don't think Rocksteady's going to go back to Batman after this Batman.
No,
VR, but,
you're right, but
so,
I mean,
maybe now casting our minds forward, and I've got one other thing that I'll hit on later, but where do we think that they might go next? What makes sense for a video game
in terms of their
so think about
characters?
your Marvel catalogue.
Easy. I'll list off the.
And I know you could rattle off a few.
Oh no, I'll list off the next like 3 or 4 or 5 guys.
I'm thinking things that would work well in a video game. So we know that flying's not necessarily
Wolverine. Number 1.
Can I let me ask you then, just to quickly jump in. Does it need to be a single character?
So you suggest we might just get an Avengers game that's got,
or an X-Men game, or do you think it would necessarily be a singular superhero, or do you think it would be a franchise?
This does alright. They'll do a singular. They'll go through the Marvel favorites at the very beginning. They'll see how it goes, because we haven't got a Justice League game. It's been Justice League Unlimited and Justice League the cartoon both did extremely well and are held in high regards, just like the animated series. Like, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill voicing still in both of those series as well. That's held extremely high, not as obviously as high a thing. I mean, the fact that they re-released X-Men, the 90 series, into a comic book now, in X-Men 93, was just like, hey, there you go, guys. Stop nagging us for shit like that. I think that the first thing, if Spider-Man does well, you'd get Wolverine, because it's very easy to done. We've already kind of seen a very majority of games that could be similar to what, how it's done. Like,
how would you do a Wolverine game?
Well,
I mean, are you looking Shadows of Mordor? Are you looking Batman?
No, I'd be looking like
Sunset Overdrive.
I'd be looking at something like Assassin's Creed with more brawling. I don't know. No, not Assassin's Creed. Witcher. How you the sensing, you can smell the thing.
Give me more of that Witcher.
Go and tracking, like
it up.
the
You would've
tracking
seen that,
elements
Canada.
from Witcher and like the hunting elements from that. Combat from Batman, because let's admit, combat has been
But is that
top notch on.
is that Wolverine's kind of combat?
What?
Like the way that Batman fights, which just looks like punching dudes in a circle. Doesn't Wolverine just sort of like wreck dudes one hit at a time?
Oh, you can stab and things, but when you're fighting off against,
I don't know. Look,
when you're fighting off
Like,
against
there'd be a lot of
multiple
things that
dudes, like you
there'd
have to
be
be
a lot of things
careful
that
of
are
being
way
not
up too.
knocked
So
down.
also be very conscious of what rating these games get. So like if you go down
Exactly.
if you go down that very bloody path that they could, for example, do with someone like Wolverine, or maybe they
Or any
might
comic book, really.
Yeah, most of them exactly. Spider-Man's probably one of those exceptions where it doesn't get particularly.
I mean, it
bloody.
can.
It can.
It can,
Don't,
yeah.
like you've seen people get flung into doors just in that trailer alone, like car doors and all that sort of stuff. Like there's room for that, but something like Wolverine, it's very in your face. Like he's giant claws and he's just slicing.
Yeah.
through. Like
But
that,
we
that
don't-
is
we
gonna
don't
get you up
have
to
to
an
see-
R rating out here.
Yeah, but we don't have to see the blood. It doesn't have to be the gore. Like people aren't on the Wolverine scale going, I wanted to see more gore.
Yeah, but I think they'd have a little bit. Even
No, you don't think they can have a little
even if
bit.
it's very basic, like what we're probably used to getting in the majority of games.
So then-
but that can still be enough, given that you're walking up and just going to some guy.
Yeah.
That's probably going to get you certainly at least MA, possibly R, and then the
Well, I
equivalent
mean,
in America,
there
which
was
is
a lot of that in
adult-
Shadows of
no,
Mordor.
adults only.
There was a lot of that in
and
Shadows of
R's.
Mordor. There was many decapitations in
Yeah,
Shadows of
and that
Mordor,
got an
and that
MA.
got an MA. So
Yeah.
I don't
mean,
necessarily
like,
think
that's-
Sorry,
obviously-
when you talk MA or R territory, I don't mean you're more casual.
you're not going to get a G rating with the decapitation.
No, I'm definitely not thinking of the G.
The question I have, and look, I'm going to direct it primarily at you because
You're
you
the
probably got
expert
the more
in this.
you probably got the more informed, and I also don't care what he has to say. Basically, what do you think is the best game genre for a Marvel game outside of your platformer? Like what a Spider-Man game would be, which is open world, swinging and jumping from place to place. What is the game genre? I mean, it's probably not going to be a first person shooter.
Actually, we're going to see Spider-Man racing.
Yeah, Spider-Man R. Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe Spider-Man and Knuckles running around in a circle. Yeah, let's move on.
Like brawlers.
Brawler, so like a God of War type.
No, like
God of War, a brawler.
Ultimate Alliance.
Absolutely, God of War is a brawler.
Ultimate Alliance type. Like going in, taking on teams of people, selecting your small amount of team.
Darksiders,
Switching
Bayonetta,
through.
they're all brawlers. Like that's
Well, not like that. Not
No,
those
not like
kind
that.
of brawlers.
Oh, so not like a combo type.
No,
Okay.
no, definitely not. That's too much complication for anything that would involve more than one character floating around with you, interchangeability. Like if we're saying a Marvel game, then I'm presuming that you're talking team.
No, I'm not. No, I'm just talking for any Marvel property. Because at the end of the day, when you're talking about a character action game, that's what a Marvel game would be. I mean, yes, theoretically you could have an Iron Man game that is a first-person shooter where you've got just Jarvis vision on your TV. Yes. But what I'm saying is, if you take any individual Marvel property, what would be the most common game genre that you would be looking at seeing, and what would be the best one to illustrate that?
Exactly what they've done with Spider-Man.
Okay.
Exactly.
You're actually
So a third
Action
person action platform.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, look, you can go into it. The Guardians would be interdimensional travel. Spider-Man has 42 different Spider-Men that you can use. So,
they're obviously going to use this.
they're obviously using this exclusive one. That's fine. I'm guessing they're gonna throw in some DLC for like an alternate costume, like
The reason I
Spider-Gwen, because I mean, who doesn't like Spider-Gwen? Am I right? Hashtag Spider-Gwen.
The reason I ask, because this may be an unpopular opinion that I have, is that I think they should probably make a really good fighting game. I would like to see a Civil War, but like a Street Fighter 5, but Civil War. And I think that would be fucking awesome. But again, it's not going to tell really very much of a story. I mean, it might.
And I feel like I think that though is what Marvel's going for, as in the story side of things. And
I know.
don't get that in the way they want it from a fight.
I mean, they'd have to go down the path of Injustice if they're going to do a fighting game.
I mean, in terms of it being like sort of Mortal Kombat-y, or do you mean in terms of it being like not hand-drawn? Like it had to be with 3D characters? Do you mean like visually, or do you mean in terms of like gameplay?
Both.
Okay.
I mean, you'd getting to this point where like a hand-drawn kind of cartoon fighty thing to tell a story would just not. Because I mean, would not perceive well in.
Because I mean,
having fun with the nitty gritty of being a fighter in Marvel. Like, I mean, let's just put out everyone's favorite villain, Doom. Like, Doom is just an amazing person, and like, not necessarily that, you know, he has to be bloody or thing, but like, him looking cartoony and things like that is nowhere near as intimidating as when he's done just, I don't know.
I know what you mean, but like, just taking like a very small snippet where there are a lot of characters, like a Civil War would be, and telling a story through like an arcade mode or something like that, where it's like everyone's point of view. And you think about something like a Marvel vs. Capcom or something like that, where it definitely works. You get to show off a lot of the characters and all that sort of stuff. You start to see it popping up at things like EVO and CEO and stuff like that. I don't know. For me, I think that's a good way that they could also go about it. That's different to this, because you don't want the same formula. People don't want. Let's say there's another DC game. Let's say it's like a Superman game, and Rocksteady's doing it. You don't want to see the same Batman formula, do you? You want to see something different.
You want to see something different.
Exactly. So I don't think it would be smart for Marvel to make the same game with all the different Marvel properties. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but that's because each character game that they'd make, they wouldn't do the same Spider-Man formula. There would always be an overarching feel, but it'd be like.
Do you sort of get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know
like,
what you're saying.
It's a very slippery slope, because when you start having a lot of the games, even if it's got its own unique hook, you're still like, yeah, it's Spider-Man, but with this. Like Shadows of Mordor. Yeah, it's Batman combat, but with so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Like when people, and I know, look, I'm obviously very dumbing that down.
Yeah.
But a lot of people.
Yeah.
when a lot of people talk about that sort of combat where it's you
they
in a group of people,
it's the Batman
it's
combat.
the Batman
plus
combat,
this. Yeah.
exactly. So you wouldn't want to say, okay, it's the
It
Spider-Man.
plays a lot like this.
Yeah, you don't want them to say, oh, it's that same Marvel game, except because it's Wolverine, there are claws. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, put it in this sense. Right now, in the world, every single musical note combination has been made and created. And we are going to reach that point in video games very quickly because the amount that is produced. That we are reaching a point where any kind of combination of things is going to already have been done because it's been done. Like, you know, you can't advance a fighting game any further than what it's at now without, I don't know, adding in fucking laser beams to their eyeballs and putting in techno music into the
Spider-Man Blood Dragon.
The background. Like, we're getting to a very hard point where...
I'm sure Cyclops was in Marvel vs. Capcom too.
Probably was. And like, it's hard to get to that, like, past that point. Like, I know, like, you know, it wouldn't be right, but I mean, not every Marvel fan's going to go out there and play every game like that. And if fans are going to turn around and be like, oh, well, this is just Spider-Man with this, well, it's like, yeah, it's the same in the music world. This is just this band with this. Like, and we've discussed that in the past. And when people compare shit like that, it's like, and it was good. So why are you... What's the beef there?
Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is, like, there's a difference between you only being able to innovate so much and not having any innovation. Like, there's a difference between, like, recycling and reinventing. Do you know what I mean? So, like, there are some other brawlers out there that use Batman combat that just recycle it. Whereas Shadows of Mordor sort of reinvented it with sort of the movement and all that sort of stuff that you had. So there you go. There's Mortal Kombat for you. That's for you.
Well, that's
but that is true. That's correct. That's what they did. They took it and they took it somewhere different. And they yes, people were saying, okay, so the combat is very Batman-esque, and they had a lot to say after that.
Yeah.
Whereas there are other games where it's like, okay, it's the Batman combat, and they've got maybe another sentence or something to follow it up with.
Yeah, so if you play Batman, you know what this is like.
Exactly.
There's this, but...
Exactly. Whereas on other circumstances, you've got a lot more to say. So when I'm asking in terms of what is the best genre, are there a lot of different genres that they can use, or is it just going to be the same thing? Because if it's just going to be the same thing, then they're going to run out of steam. There will be exhaustion with the franchise.
To play devil's advocate to that argument, I mean, you could make the same argument for the films.
I probably would.
Except the thing about that is, they're just as, if not more popular than ever. Like that
is true.
And that's like.
But I'm not talking
about the quality of them. I'm not talking about, and the same applies with the games. I'm not talking about the quality of the games, but they're following the same formula, and people don't care.
You could say that about.
I do.
You could say that about 80s.
Yeah, I know.
You could say that about 80s action
I'm a
flicks.
stickler. What can I say?
You could say that about 80s action flicks, Arnie films and Stallone films, and all of those sorts of films where it's like the big badass who like smashes through everything. There was like a hot 10-15 years where that was the shit, and no one cared that it was like there was so much of the same thing. Like you can list off all the different Arnie quotes, and yes, they all come from different films, but they all sound as badass as each other.
I feel like what we might be about to enter, to continue on with what you're saying, like right now, and probably for the most part of the last 10 years, in gaming it's been zombies.
For sure.
And I feel like we're probably on the brink of the same sort of thing going on, but comic characters, as has gone on with film.
And that's what I'm saying. Like there will be a lengthy period where that is the hottest shit there is. But there will be an exhaustion.
They'll milk it
absolutely,
as long as they can.
Absolutely. But there will be an exhaustion point. And what I'm saying is, if Marvel is looking to get into this long term, they probably want to avoid having an exhaustion point. Because there were a lot of Batman games before Rocksteady came along, and none of them were good. That's the thing. That's the reason why people love Arkham, is because it's a Batman game.
Did what no one else has been able to do.
That is awesome. So if they're trying to make a bunch of different, and they want the Arkham treatment for a lot of their properties, they've got to take a lot of them in different directions.
Bugs included. PC launch of Arkham.
Good jokes aside, basically, look, I'm sorry if that sort of derailed it, but what I'm trying to say is, like, if Marvel really wants to, like, they want to go balls deep with it, then what they're going to need to, like, what I think they would need to do is surely take a lot of their properties in directions that people may not expect. And if that's going to be the case, what sort of game genres could work? Because surely it's got to be more than just...
Your point about the fighter can work, as long as...
that was just an example.
But it's totally a side thing, and it might be to break up that monotony, I guess, of sorts, where you're going to get that same sort of thing. Let's have a bit of fun and let's do this.
Absolutely,
yeah. And we'll get a good studio to do it. We'll speak to Capcom and see what they can do.
Capcom's always treated the Marvel properties well.
Whoever it is that they speak to.
At least I think so. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, there's nothing.
But I feel like we are going to get the same sort of thing over and over. But I don't know. I anticipate being. I look forward to being wrong. I want to be wrong.
If you're going,
we'll get Telltale.
If they're going to do things,
that'll break the whole thing
exactly,
up as well.
And that's what I'm saying. But that's a very different game.
We've got a string of Batmans, like Arkham's, the way they are, and we've got Telltale's Batman coming out in like a month or two.
Here's a perfect one for you. They could go into puzzlers.
They could.
Doctor Strange would be a perfect thing, like entering different dimensions and things like that. Like
without knowing too much about
fixing a universe, or like fixing like things that are wrong in that area.
Very psychonautsy.
Like
basically the same like the Doctor Strange version of The Witness.
Pardon?
Oh no! Jonathan Blow.
Fucking
develop a Doctor Strange.
No, you pieces.
I mean that could.
And like
Jonathan Blow.
Have a chat to him. Just even general like dungeon crawling. Sure. That thing. I don't know.
Absolutely.
But
all I'm saying is, like, if they're really going to open up the crypt doors and let all of their properties out to play...
No, I don't think they will.
They've been quite clear in this same announcement that I actually totally missed when it got brought up. It's only post the Spider-Man announcement where I saw the article re-emerge about what... They're being very careful about... We're going very careful about what studios we take, what directions we go with. We're not just...
Yeah, they're not just
opening up the barn doors and just go for it.
Yeah, of course. They will.
It's the same as what
they want to get.
It's the same as what Disney's looking to do with Star Wars. Now, sure, they've made an agreement with EA that EA will be developing it, but within that, they're still being very selective about
who develops what,
how they're doing it. What
exactly?
And if EA's felt, hey, we don't have the right people, well, they go and get Jade Raymond, or they go and get Amy Hennig, or they go and get Stig,
or they pull Criterion off what they're doing and
say, hey, help us with our flying vehicle stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever, like they're
And that's the
being
thing.
smart about it. So
With
the same
Star
happens
Wars,
here. So we may not see as many, but they're more meaningful.
With Star Wars, you've got Battlefield, and you've got whatever Amy Hennig's doing, Battlefront. Sorry, well, it's basically Battlefield. Let's be honest. You've got those sorts of games. They're very different. They're polar opposites, but they both work within the Star Wars formula, and that's what I think Marvel should be looking at doing. They should be looking at saying, okay, well, I don't know, maybe we can have, you know, a character that is a bit of a fan favorite, may not be necessarily the most popular, but we're going to take this game studio who knows what they're doing, and we're going to make a game that's maybe very different. Well, so maybe an Archer character, and you've got that in a first person. Very much like a Thief game, except
they work under the same umbrella. Like they're owned by Disney.
Yeah, exactly. So they know what they're doing.
So they will have, well, they've not done it themselves, but they're
cinematic
going
studios,
on, and they've got Disney overhead. Well, Disney.
I'm pretty sure they bought out
They just
Marvel
bought out
in
Marvel.
general.
Full stop.
What?
Don't they on the comic as well?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they own.
We'll double check that fact.
I'm pretty sure they do. I might try and look it up very subtly while we keep going. But
that was my.
So,
that was
like
my
you said, if
well.
that's the case, then they're going to learn a lot from what Disney's doing with Star Wars.
Yeah, sure.
And Disney
what
higher-ups will be
license
coming
they're
out saying, "Hey, you might want to do this, this, and this. This is our advice based on our experience. You might want to do this to ensure."
And based on our wallet.
Well, Disney can throw whatever they want.
Yeah, but that's what, like, we don't want to spend money on something that's going to be
rubbish. Yeah,
exactly.
It's going to tarnish the brands in any way.
Exactly.
And Marvel know that. They've been particularly careful about what they do as well.
The hard thing you've got with comic book and any comic book characters and their related media is the simple fact of an unpopular character does not grow in popularity by adding more media to it.
Fair enough.
Like you look at all the animated movies, and the biggest successful ones are the main characters, and when they try and add somebody else into it, like on a solo film or something like that, it bombs out so bad that they don't like, because people aren't interested in
they're after that market
getting learning more. You kind of stick to what you do because you've only got limited amount of money. You got to remember, comic book people, some of them are spending probably $100 a week on comics, and like we're talking DC do $3 comic, $4 comics, Marvel do like, you know, $4 or $5 comics as well, and like you've just build up in that collection $100. It's like, and then you got your statues, you've got your other forms of media within that, and it's like, I mean, to me honestly, like I love the DC Lego games because it had the Lantern worlds and things like that, and I love Saint Walker the Blue Lantern.
That's another one myself and Angelica played.
But I'll never see Blue Lantern comic. I'll never see a Blue Lantern movie. I won't see the Blue Lanterns at all.
But how many people picked that there was going to be an Ant-Man film? Is Ant-Man a big? Is he a big deal?
Yeah, people like Ant-Man.
No, I'm sure people like you just said that you like a character. People like stuff.
Yeah, but like Ant-Man is very.
So like you've got your movie, but then let's do something about this side character that was in that movie, and they're the ones. That
I get it. Yeah, that's fine.
And like Falcon's grown in popularity in recent times because they made him less of a nub, really. Like they changed, and that's the thing in the comic book world. Things change so often, and things like that.
But when they do those reboots,
as an outsider looking in, it seems
there's not really. Some of them aren't reboots necessarily. Some of them are just
new universe
refreshers.
Yeah.
Or
so when they do that though, is there any possibility that could then reinvent a character that makes them more popular?
Well, yeah. If you look at Batman was about to suffer from the worst thing ever. So you know Adam West's 50s Batman. Yes, we all remember the crash, bang, pow.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what was Batman going to be. That was coming to the point, and Frank Miller, who did Sin City, turned around and was like, no, this is not how it's going to be, and did Dark Knight Returns, which is a very old Batman, which is what the movie is currently based off. Did not give a shit anymore, was breaking people's arms real bad, just being a total boss, and it's still held regarded as one of the best Batman comics to date.
Yeah.
And it was a refreshing thing, obviously I think it was Earth 64 or something, before the crisis and all the Earths changed to 52, but
yeah, I don't know.
It's long conversation.
There's a big
no, a lot of
first, but
30 something. So it can happen, but like, you know, there's been artists that have taken over Wonder Woman's work, and you know, they put her in pants and a leather jacket, and the fans booed and hissed it so much that he was like, I'm not writing this anymore. See you later. Like that's the problem, and that's what I was talking about with some of the fans.
Yeah.
They get so upset when something changes.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what makes it very hard. Like, I mean, I hope Nintendo, I hope Marvel do so well with Spider-Man that it holds on to its success. They do a sequel, that's awesome. But then before they do a third game, there's another character that begins another franchise.
Yeah,
but they don't flood the market.
Yeah, so
because you've also got TV series that are changing some shit up in some very different ways.
Yes, like still. Like, I mean, look at the X-Men. X-Men is the 90s version, is regarded as one of the best.
I'm talking even live action. I'm talking like, you know, like The Flash and Arrow and all those sorts of stuff.
None of them are Marvel, but
Yep.
no, they're not. They're DC.
Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah,
but
that's
even still, they're comic book characters.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to like generalize, but it is the same principle of like, okay, these are very established characters.
Yeah,
and we're going to do our own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's the perk you get of going into a different media.
And then again, they're not always
like they're all very popular characters. That's the thing.
I mean, you got a syndicated TV series. That's a lot of money. But
yeah,
if you're handing something out to maybe even an indie studio, there's no reason why Marvel couldn't say, okay, this indie studio's made some hot shit. Here, make us a small bite-sized game. You know, it's very plausible. Or you know, someone who makes games for the 3DS. Okay, make us a 2D side scroller. You know, like it could happen.
Yeah, like I just really hope we don't get a superhero flood.
Yeah, and I don't think we will. But my next question, though, as we wind things down, looking for a tip that we may not even necessarily get to revisit for another couple of years, but what is next? What is the next character or Marvel series? Just for fun and games. So we don't necessarily need to overthink it.
Well, like
Marvel vs. Capcom 4.
I really think with the popularity of Wolverine, Hugh Jackman not wanting to play him anymore, there is a possibility that they'll be like, after the next Wolverine movie, let's work on that Wolverine game. Let's get Hugh Jackman in as the kind of the grounding for the voice acting, like bam, get it through, like, and that'll be somewhere we go, like, you know, because Wolverine's such a broad character.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you've got from like his Bone Claws days to, you know, Weapon X, Samurai days, 90s days, Death of Wolverine, Old Man Logan. Like, that's an expansive universe that you can think, and that's the thing. Like, the beauty of Spider-Man is there's a bajillion different Spider-Mans that you can get into.
Yeah, like
X-Men is that kind of the exact same.
There was a GameCube, PS2 era Ultimate Spider-Man. It didn't even follow the Ultimate Spider-Man story.
Yeah,
they made up their own story, and it was fucking awesome. It was really cool. I loved it because it was something super different. And I was like, after playing the game, I'm like, I might go and have a look at reading Ultimate Spider-Man. Start to read up on the story. I'm like, oh, it's completely different. Fuck that. No, I like this one. Whatever.
What's your tip for what they might do?
Look,
I'll go last because I've got a fair idea already in my head.
I honestly would really like to see a big all-in fighting game. I think DC has proven with...
Oh, but like with a particular character or characters?
No, I'd just like to see a lot of characters. Like, I'd love to see another... I'd love to see another Marvel vs. Capcom. That's because I like a lot of Capcom characters as well, but I think that those games really show off a lot of fan service. I mean, X-23 is in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like, that's fan service right there. And for me, Zero, isn't it? Which is fan service for me.
X-23 could be the other game that's possibly...
Yeah, absolutely. X-23 would be great. And that would probably work better as an Assassin's Creed game than a Wolverine game. And again, this is using my very, very rudimentary knowledge.
That's the thing. You and I don't have much knowledge.
I don't have a huge amount of knowledge, but I could say with the minutest level of authority that would work as an Assassin's Creed style game. In terms of what property that they would use.
Property was the word I was do you want me to take over while you...
Probably Hulk.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'd be an easy one to do. You can just, even prototype style, just smash up a city and you can do whatever you want there. For me, it'll be, they're going to use the actual Avengers. I think that's the most sensible one that they'll do.
Well,
I think about that.
They've already got those.
I think about that
type.
because of the fact that Telltale's game is presumably the first one that will release. We've got Spider-Man coming, but I am firmly of the opinion that will be 2018.
Okay.
So Telltale's one is meant to be next year. They only say Marvel. They haven't said anything else. That's fine. But I feel like it'll be, because of the way Telltale likes to tell their stories, they bounce betwing characters. That to me it makes sense. They might do Marvel.
They're going to make an Avengers game. Who is it going to be? Like, who's going to be the base character?
Alright, I'll go a bit more specific because that's pretty open. Alright, Captain America, Iron Man. I don't know many of the characters here. Who else in the Avengers? Give me Thor. Actually, so that's a potential one too. I wouldn't mind seeing a Thor game. That'd be alright.
Do you think we'll see another?
That might be your brawler in your Bayonetta, God of War sort of vein.
Or Thor.
Yeah, I feel like Thor could be one.
Nah.
But
if you're going to make one like that,
a lot of time left.
if you're going to make one like that, it would have to be a character who doesn't have that kind of supernatural-esque to them. It'd have to be... Like, I actually do think it would work for a Wolverine. I actually think. Because, I mean, he's like a master of blades that is attached to his hands.
Yeah, fair enough.
You think of like how far they got on God of War. You could very easily make a game like that. Plus, you've got his regenerative ability, which works in gameplay. You've got his ability to climb walls, which means you've got set piece stuff.
Yeah, like, it fits into what's already established within game.
Exactly. Give it to Platinum. Say, hey, use the Bayonetta engine, make me a game, and there you go.
And don't give this one to
Nintendo. and just here's make us an ATM that prints money, please.
So my final question before we wrap this one up. We've kind of discussed what Marvel's doing and Spider-Man and all those sorts of things. How long? Because I feel like what we're seeing here with the gaming side of things is quite reminiscent of what's going on, what went on with film. That the Christopher Nolan Batman movies came out, and people were super hyped on superhero movies. And I know we'd had plenty in the past, but none of them had that. Maybe I can argue.
What was the start?
The original Superman. Sorry, not Superman. Spider-Mans and all those sorts of things, but none of them quite hit home. None of them quite hit home like.
Blade, you reckon?
Blade was if it wasn't for Blade, we wouldn't have had any of these movies.
Fair enough.
But I think none of them really hit home like the Nolan Batman movies. And then Marvel got in and just took over. And it took DC a long time to get into it themselves. How long do we think it's going to be? Well, I mean, technically they kick things off if you look at Batman.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the gaming side of things. Things have really kicked off in this gaming space with the Arkham games. Now Marvel's getting involved. How long before DC gets involved? Because I don't think they would want to be so slow on this one as they were last time around.
I don't know that DC characters fit as well into games as Marvel characters.
No, I feel like there's room to. There's a few that might struggle.
Other than Injustice.
There's a few that might struggle. Because that's coming.
What about someone like? You could do something with that.
Because you got to remember, Injustice sold them comics too. That was printed money on two fronts.
Yeah,
that was.
Of course.
Hey, you guys like video games? You should read this comic because it's going to be weekly and something's going to happen in it every week. And I think we're talking Superman shot.
I think Mortal Kombat actually had a bit to do with some of that popularity as well.
Well, yeah, because they
leveraging the studio and whatnot.
Yeah.
Not even just that. Like, because was that the one that had the Mortal Kombat characters, or was it that it was?
It DC? Had Scorpion as DLC.
Yeah. So and then because they also had DC versus Mortal Kombat, didn't they?
Yeah, very that was like when PS3 first came out.
Yeah. I would argue that laid the groundwork for Injustice. Because it's all of them are NetherRealm.
Yeah, cool. Fair enough.
But they won't be far behind.
I feel they took a long time to get going in the film space, and I don't think they'll let.
What have they done? What big franchise? I mean, did the Superman movies do very well? / were they?
I mean, they weren't reviewed. You're talking about like Superman Returns. And,
yeah,
they weren't.
Man of Steel,
or they weren't creating
Batman
or anything like that.
Or Batman vs Superman.
Batman vs Superman was like so
well received.
It was hammered for it's so terrible. It's not. Not done well at all. And then it's like, yeah, look at how much money it's made. Now shut the fuck up, please. You can't keep telling me that, it's fucking terrible. And it's like, yeah, you can say that all you want. And everyone's still like, it broke records for like biggest movie that came out and the biggest drop off, but then it made money again. Like,
and without going too much to this, the Ultimate Edition or whatever it is they're calling
the Ultimate Cut, yeah.
The Ultimate Cut apparently is fantastic.
Yes. The trailer, check the trailer out. But yeah, if DC are going to do it, it won't be Batman. Like, Batman is a very huge thing. I think they could do something cool with The Flash. The Flash would be a great game. It doesn't have to be super dark, but they could do something like Flashpoint.
The Flash
where, you know...
So it's going to be The Flash and Knuckles running in a circle.
Even a Justice League, Aquaman, like, these are characters that are popular, not super
Echo
popular.
the Dolphin with Aquaman.
I'm gonna fucking
We're getting some hot Sega shit in this video.
Alright, but anyway.
But yeah, they're not going to be far behind.
I think they're
probably already
really, given what happened with Arkham, I feel like it's probably already
Well,
do you think that any of those properties would make a decent, like, Thief, Dishonored, Deus Ex type first person game? Doesn't necessarily need to be stealthy. I know I picked up three games.
Three stealthy games.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be Doom.
No,
it's not going to be like it's going to be something like Mirror's Edge or something like that.
What, for DC or for Marvel?
And could they make an
Punisher
immersive?
Would be a perfect.
Could they make an immersive? Would that be more first person shootery?
Punisher would be a super first person shootery.
Okay.
It'd be grass, like changing weapons, things like that.
But you don't want it to be like circle strafing. Like, you want it to be an immersive, like a Gone Home even. So I'll put that in there to model the mixture.
Yeah, but if DC were to do it,
like, I actually think
I don't know.
That's what I'm talking about in terms of like flipping genres and stuff like that. Like taking interesting risks, because if you think about like third person games before Batman, like think about the combat that you've got there, third person character action games. The combat was mash X. That's it. Or like it was quick time events. Since then, you've now got this sort of resurgence of character action games where stuff is complex. Now, I think comic characters lend themselves perfectly to bend genres.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, and that's what they would need to do to make that like that rock steady Arkham money. That's what they need to do. That's what I was trying to get at
Shift
before.
things a little bit.
Yeah, they
Shift the
need
needle.
because we've had enough of shitty comic book video games. I mean, when they just make it as bargain basement as you can, it's like, hey, here's your basic mechanics and fan service. It's like, yeah, people will buy it, but they won't like it.
No, fair enough. All right, we better wrap things up there because we've gone a long time. I'm running out of battery, and these people have lives. So, on that note, that is patched for the month of July. If you want to catch up on anything else we've done this month, just jump back onto the YouTube channel and you'll find everything from this month, previous months. Tune in next week where you'll see the Video Games Club where we discussed Darksiders 2.
Correct.
We still don't know what we're doing next month. Damo refuses to tell us.
That's fine.
That's fine. We'll
You'll find
have
out.
a month off.
No, we won't.
Everyone just plays their own game.
Go home and play games.
Never heard of the term "no rest for the wicked."
We're playing Borderlands.
Sure. I could get a few miles out of Borderlands.
So that's it. So yeah, like I said, tune into all those. Hit us up on Twitter and the website if you want. So Paul James P2, Taco's Talks, Player2AU, not J. www.player2.net.au.
There are videos on both.
And I do apologise for my earlier discretion and outburst of anger towards comic book fans.
No,
But it's well deserved. You know that. Fuck you.
Apparently, you're
listen,
crazy.
all rabid fans.
You gave
of
your
anything
email
are
away in one of our last videos.
Yeah. Yes, go find that.
Go find Damo's email
Yeah.
and tell him how wrong he is.
Yeah, do that at zeldastorms@gmail.com.
Alright. Anyway,
At that
so
point, he closed that email.
he closed the email so that no one ever did that to him.
I kind
so
of want
let
to
us
hack in
know
so I can redirect it to all your other email addresses.
My whole other one.
Just send all your emails to everywhere.
work emails, all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff.
Send
Forward it to
copies.
his boss.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. So until next month.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, stay nerdy.
Until next month. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you then. Good topic, me. See you later.
Oh, yeah, well played.